Every dream that has ever come true began as nothing more than a quiet conviction inside someone's mind. There were no guarantees, no evidence, and certainly no cheering crowd to applaud the first step. There was only one thing: faith. Faith that somehow, some way, the dream would take form. You see, proof comes after belief, never before it. The world doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards those who dare to act without seeing the whole staircase. Every man and woman who has built something extraordinary did so in the darkness of uncertainty, guided not by what they could see, but by what they refused to stop believing. Look around you. Every invention, every success story, every revolution of thought began in the invisible. The Wright brothers had no proof that man could fly. Edison had no proof that light could be captured in a bulb. Yet they acted as if the unseen were already real. Their faith was the blueprint, and the universe simply followed their command. Most people wait for signs, a lucky break, a clear path, or someone else's validation. But the truth is, the sign you're waiting for is already within you. Faith isn't built on sight, it's built on decision. The decision that says, I will move forward, no matter what I see right now. When you possess unshakable faith in yourself, something remarkable happens. The world begins to rearrange itself to fit your belief. People respond to your certainty. Opportunities are drawn to your energy. Life begins to mirror your conviction, because what you believe about yourself becomes the permission slip for what life allows you to have. Doubt is easy. Anyone can doubt. But faith, true, unyielding faith, is the mark of a creator. It's the invisible foundation that holds up every success story the world has ever known. You can't wait for confidence to appear after success. It must exist before success is born. You must see yourself as capable long before the results arrive. So stop asking for proof. Stop waiting for someone to validate your potential. Proof is what the world gives the man who no longer needs it. The day you decide to trust yourself completely, to walk boldly toward what you desire without hesitation or fear, that's the day your proof will arrive. You don't need to see it to believe it. You need to believe it until you see it. That is the unshakable faith that moves mountains, shapes destinies, and turns ordinary people into legends. Faith precedes evidence because the world always moves in the direction of what we believe to be true. Before there was a plane in the sky, there was a man who believed flight was possible. Before there was a light bulb illuminating a dark room, there was a man convinced that light could be captured and controlled. Every great achievement in human history began not with proof, but with conviction. The dreamers, the builders, the inventors, they all saw the invisible long before the rest of the world could. That's the quiet secret of creation. Faith comes first, evidence comes later, yet most people live their lives backward. They wait for signs, for validation, for proof that they're good enough or capable enough before they move. They need the world to agree with them before they dare to take the first step, and that is why they wait for years while others move forward. Those who achieve great things understand that life does not show you the finish line before you start running. It demands that you begin the race in faith, with nothing more than belief as your fuel. Faith is the ignition. Without it, even the greatest potential lies dormant. There's something remarkable that happens when a person decides to act without proof. The moment you commit in faith, the universe begins to rearrange itself around your decision. People appear. Resources emerge. Ideas unfold. It's as if unseen forces were waiting for you to simply decide. The mind, when convinced, sends a signal to every corner of life that says, prepare the way. And somehow the way appears. It isn't magic. It's the law of cause and effect operating on the level of belief. The inner belief is the cause. The outer result is the effect. The mistake is thinking you need the effect to strengthen your belief. The truth is, you must strengthen your belief to create the effect. Faith is not blind. It is the highest form of vision. It sees beyond circumstance and limitation. It looks past failure and doubt. It peers through the fog of uncertainty and fixes its gaze on what could be, not what is. When you operate in faith, you are no longer waiting for conditions to be perfect. You understand that conditions are never perfect. They become perfect only when your conviction makes them so. Faith is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It is the unseen structure that allows you to walk over the void of uncertainty without falling. The tragedy is that most people trade faith for fear because fear feels safer. It asks for proof before commitment. It demands to see before believing. But that demand kills creation before it even begins. Nothing new is ever built in fear's shadow. Fear delays. Faith decides. And once you decide, life has no choice but to respond. Every single person who has done something remarkable has faced the same void. The same absence of evidence, the same silence of the unknown. What separated them from the rest was not talent or luck, but their ability to trust themselves when no proof existed. Faith is the ultimate freedom. It liberates you from needing permission. It releases you from the approval of others. It gives you the courage to say, even if no one believes in me, I still will. That is the moment a person truly comes alive. The moment they choose faith over fear, movement over stagnation, belief over doubt. Proof will come later. It always does, but only for the one who dares to begin without it. Your mind creates before the world confirms, because everything that ever comes into being must first exist as a mental image. The outer world is nothing more than a mirror reflecting the inner vision. Every success, every creation, every transformation starts with a clear idea formed in the quiet of one's own mind. Long before a goal becomes visible to others, it is already alive within the person who conceived it. That's why those who dare to hold a vision in their minds with unshakable faith eventually see it materialize. They understand that life is built from the inside out. You don't wait for the world to show you proof. You show the world your belief through your persistence and confidence. The visible follows the invisible, and thought is the blueprint from which all form takes shape. If your thoughts are small, your world becomes small. If your thoughts are expansive, your world expands to meet them. The mind is the workshop of reality, constantly molding what is unseen into what is seen. When you look at the people who achieve extraordinary things, you'll notice something consistent about them. They saw it in their minds first. They rehearsed their success mentally before the world could ever acknowledge it. They lived as though what they desired was already theirs. This mental rehearsal becomes a command to the subconscious mind, which in turn begins influencing behavior, decisions, and even perception in ways that align with that belief. Opportunities that others overlook become visible. Paths that seemed impossible begin to open. It's not that the world suddenly changes, it's that the mind begins to see what was always there, hidden by doubt or fear. The outer experience is simply catching up to the inner conviction. Most people live in reverse. They wait for results before they allow themselves to believe. They wait to see before they can say, now I'm confident. But that's not how the law of creation works. The world does not confirm your belief until your belief is firm enough to no longer need confirmation. The proof always appears after the decision to believe, not before. You must believe in your own power so strongly that it no longer matters whether anyone else can see it. The world will eventually mirror what your mind has been creating all along. The key lies in understanding that thoughts are seeds and the outer world is the field. You cannot plant a seed and expect it to grow immediately. There is a period of unseen growth beneath the surface. The soil doesn't show signs of life at first, but beneath it the seed is transforming, reaching, preparing. The same is true for your ideas and dreams. Just because you cannot yet see results doesn't mean nothing is happening. The moment you hold a vision firmly in your mind, the process has already begun. Life will start shifting in subtle ways. Circumstances will rearrange. People will appear, but it all starts within you. The world you live in right now is nothing more than the sum of what you've allowed yourself to believe. Every achievement and every limitation is a reflection of your inner image. If you believe yourself to be capable, capable people will appear to assist you. If you believe opportunities are scarce, they will hide from you, even if they're all around. Reality bends to the image you consistently hold in your mind. That is why those who believe deeply, act boldly, and persist relentlessly always seem to live in a different world. They do, because they created it in thought long before anyone else could see it. Doubt destroys, faith builds, because the two cannot exist in the same mind at the same time. Doubt is a slow poison that seeps into thought, weakening intention, paralyzing action, and draining the spirit of all vitality. Faith, on the other hand, is the great builder. It gives energy, direction, and substance to every effort. When a person doubts, they divide their power. Part of them wants to move forward while another part pulls them back. The result is confusion, hesitation, and inconsistency. But when faith takes hold, the mind becomes unified. Energy that was once scattered through worry and fear now flows in one powerful direction. Every thought, emotion, and action begins to align with the belief that success is inevitable. Faith is not a mere feeling of optimism. It is a steady state of mind that refuses to accept defeat even when appearances seem unfavorable. When you observe those who accomplish remarkable things, you can sense a quiet certainty within them. It's not arrogance or pride, but a deep inner knowing that what they are striving for will, in time, be theirs. They do not waste energy debating whether their goals are possible. They simply move forward with calm conviction. Doubt has no place in their thinking. And because of that, their actions carry a power that most people never experience. They have learned that the mind, when divided, weakens, but when unified in faith, becomes unstoppable. Faith gives the courage to begin, the persistence to continue, and the strength to endure what others call impossible. Doubt always disguises itself as caution, logic, or prudence. It tells you to wait until conditions are better, until you have more proof, more support, more guarantees. But all it really does is keep you standing still. Life never rewards hesitation. The person who hesitates, who questions their own worth or timing, finds that opportunity slip away while they are busy analyzing what could go wrong. Faith requires risk. It demands that you step into the unknown with trust in yourself and in the process of life. The moment you do, unseen forces begin to work in your favor. Circumstances shift, people appear, and doors open, but only after you commit. The greatest battles are not fought in the world, but within the human mind. Doubt whispers that you are not ready, that your past defines you, that the odds are too great. Faith whispers something different. It says that you already have everything you need to begin, that every challenge carries within it the seed of growth, that the odds mean nothing when conviction is absolute. The direction you choose to listen to becomes your destiny. Feed your doubt and your dream starves. Feed your faith, and your dream grows stronger every day. The mind will always provide evidence for whichever side you strengthen. Faith builds not only achievements but character. It teaches you to trust your own power. It replaces fear with calm, confusion with clarity, and weakness with confidence. Every great leader, artist, or inventor had to overcome the same force of doubt that lives in every human being. The difference is that they refused to give it authority. They starved their doubt and nourished their faith until belief became second nature. Faith transforms vision into effort, and effort into results. It turns ordinary men and women into creators of their own fate. The moment you choose to replace every trace of doubt with faith, the invisible begins to take shape, and the world starts reflecting the strength of your conviction. The world reflects your inner confidence because life responds not to what you want, but to who you believe you are. Every interaction, every opportunity, and every challenge you face mirrors the image you hold of yourself. If you see yourself as capable, deserving, and strong, the world treats you accordingly. If you see yourself as unworthy, uncertain, or small, the world confirms that as well. People sense your level of belief long before you speak a word. They feel it in your posture, your tone, your energy. You teach others how to see you by the way you see yourself. The confident person walks through life with a quiet authority, not because they are better than others, but because they are at peace with who they are. That calm assurance radiates outward, influencing how others respond. The world becomes a reflection of that inner steadiness. Confidence is magnetic. It draws to you people, circumstances, and opportunities that align with your self-image. It is not arrogance or boasting. It is the natural expression of self-trust. When you truly believe in yourself, your actions carry conviction. Others recognize it, often without understanding why they are drawn to you. The confident mind does not beg for validation or approval, because it has already been granted from within. That is why the world opens up for those who trust themselves. They walk into situations others avoid. They speak when others stay silent. They act while others hesitate. Their self-belief acts like a signal to life itself, saying, "This one is ready," and life responds by delivering proof in the form of results, recognition, and growth. In contrast, when doubt and insecurity dominate the mind, the world mirrors that uncertainty. Opportunities seem to vanish not because they aren't there, but because you stop seeing them. People sense hesitation and lose confidence in your ability. You repel what you desire because the energy you project is one of uncertainty. The law is simple: you cannot attract what you secretly believe you do not deserve. Until you elevate your self-image, your outer world will keep reflecting the same limitations. The shift begins within, not through changing circumstances, but through changing how you think about yourself. When you start to see yourself as powerful and capable, the smallest actions begin to carry greater impact. You stand taller. You speak with clarity. You move with purpose. These subtle shifts alter the way life responds to you. Even obstacles begin to serve you differently. Instead of being signs of failure, they become stepping stones that strengthen your resolve. The more you express confidence, the more the world reflects it back, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of belief and achievement. That is why the transformation of circumstance always follows the transformation of self. Confidence is not built through proof, it is built through decision. You decide to believe in yourself even when evidence hasn't yet appeared. You act as though you already are the person you aspire to be. In time, the world aligns with that image. The truth is, you are never waiting for life to give you permission. Life is waiting for you to declare who you are. Once you make that declaration with unwavering conviction, people begin to treat you differently. Opportunities appear where none existed, and what once seemed unreachable begins to move closer. The outer world cannot help but reflect the inner image you consistently hold. The person who walks in self-trust never needs to chase validation, because everything around them naturally confirms what they already know to be true within themselves. Unshakable faith is a habit because belief is not a moment of inspiration. It is a disciplined practice day after day until it becomes your natural state of mind. No one is born with unshakable faith. It is cultivated through repetition, through daily choices to trust yourself even when doubt whispers in your ear. The mind learns what you teach it. If you feed it fear, it will grow fearful. If you feed it belief, it will grow strong. Every time you choose faith over fear, confidence over hesitation, progress over paralysis, you strengthen that inner muscle of certainty. It is not built overnight. It is built through countless small acts of courage, through moments when you could have turned back but didn't, when you could have doubted yourself but kept going. Each of those moments trains your subconscious mind to see faith as the default response rather than the exception. Faith becomes a habit when you stop depending on emotion and start depending on decision. There will be days when you don't feel confident, when results are slow, when everything seems to resist you. In those moments, the person who has practiced faith keeps moving because faith, once habitual, no longer relies on motivation. It becomes automatic. Just as the body can be trained to act instinctively in crisis, the mind can be trained to believe instinctively under pressure. The person who has developed this habit does not crumble when challenges appear because they have built the reflex of certainty. They have repeated it so often that it becomes who they are. Every successful person, whether in business, art, or life, has gone through the same cycle. In the beginning, they had to remind themselves daily that success was possible. They had to push back against doubt and failure and the voices of others who didn't believe. But over time, through consistent repetition of belief and action, their faith solidified. What was once an effort became second nature. They no longer had to convince themselves. Their faith became part of their identity. The same process is available to anyone willing to practice. Each time you choose to act in faith instead of fear, you are engraving a new pattern in your mind. Those patterns form the foundation on which great lives are built. Most people misunderstand faith as something emotional or mystical, but it is far more practical. It is a mental habit, just like worrying is. A person who constantly worries doesn't choose to worry each time. They've simply practiced it until it feels automatic. The same is true for faith. Practice belief long enough, and it becomes your natural response. You begin to assume success instead of failure, opportunity instead of limitation. You stop waiting for proof because you already trust the process of cause and effect. You understand that consistent faith produces consistent results. Developing unshakable faith requires discipline. It means monitoring your thoughts, catching yourself when you start to doubt, and replacing that thought immediately with conviction. It means surrounding yourself with people, words, and environments that reinforce belief rather than weaken it. It means speaking to yourself with strength, using language that builds rather than diminishes. Over time, this conscious repetition rewires your thinking. You begin to act differently, to walk differently, to expect differently. The world begins to treat you according to this new standard of belief. Unshakable faith does not mean never feeling fear. It means you have trained yourself to move forward despite it. The more you practice faith, the less room doubt finds to live in your mind. It becomes crowded out by confidence. You begin to trust yourself in situations that once made you hesitate. That trust compounds, creating momentum that propels you further each time you act. The person who makes faith their habit becomes unbreakable because they no longer rely on the uncertain emotions of the moment. They have replaced uncertainty with consistency, doubt with decision, and hesitation with habit. Results follow inner certainty because the outer world is a mirror that reflects the strength of your belief. The moment you become certain of an outcome, the universe begins aligning circumstances to match that inner conviction. People often think results come from effort alone, but effort without certainty is like planting seeds in rocky soil. The ground must first be prepared, and in life, that ground is your belief system. When you act from a place of doubt, your actions lose power. They become hesitant, inconsistent, and easily discouraged. But when you act from certainty, your actions carry authority. Every move you make sends a signal that says, I already know where this is going. That quiet confidence transforms your energy and influences how others respond to you. The results that follow are not accidents, but reflections of your inner assurance. The person who possesses inner certainty does not question whether success is coming. They simply focus on when. Their mind is calm because they've already decided that the goal is inevitable. This decision creates clarity, and clarity fuels consistent action. The uncertain mind stops to analyze, compare, and hesitate, but the certain mind moves with rhythm. It attracts cooperation from people, opportunities from nowhere, and inspiration in moments of silence. Certainty carries a magnetic quality. It draws toward it all the resources required to make an idea real. The stronger your belief, the more predictable your results become. Life bends to the will of those who have no doubt left in their thinking. The power of inner certainty lies in the way it changes perception. Two people can look at the same situation, yet one sees an obstacle while the other sees a stepping stone. The difference is not in the situation, but in the level of belief each person brings to it. Certainty creates focus. It prevents you from being distracted by temporary setbacks or external opinions. The person who is sure of their direction doesn't stop to argue with circumstances. They simply adjust, adapt, and continue over time. This quiet persistence produces outcomes that others mistake for luck. But luck is simply the visible side of unwavering faith. Certainty is not arrogance, it is alignment. It means your thoughts, emotions, and actions are moving in one direction. When your mind is divided, your energy is scattered. You say you want success, but secretly expect failure. You make a plan, but hold back in fear. That contradiction cancels power. But when inner certainty takes over, there is no contradiction left. Every thought and feeling begins to reinforce your goal. You stop fighting yourself. That alignment creates momentum, and momentum brings results faster than struggle ever could. Every great achiever reaches a point where they stop wondering if it will happen and start living as though it already has. That is the essence of faith in action. They embody the result before it exists in physical form. They speak, act, and carry themselves from that future reality, and in doing so, they pull it into the present. The world, observing this conviction, adjusts itself accordingly. People sense it, opportunities appear, and resources gather around the person who knows rather than hopes. The reason results follow inner certainty is simple. The world trusts those who trust themselves. Life opens doors for the person who walks with conviction. Even challenges seem to cooperate, serving as tests that refine rather than defeat. The more certain you become, the less resistance you meet, not because life becomes easier, but because your faith removes the struggle from within. The energy once wasted on doubt is redirected toward creation. Every goal you hold with total conviction begins to move toward you just as surely as you move toward it. The outer world cannot help but organize itself to match the image of the person who already believes the outcome is done.